You were almost so close there, Eli Roth. So close there. If it wasn't for those first 55 minutes. Hey everyone, it's Don G. Corleone here, and I'm here with a new episode of Halloween Horror Movie Reviews 5, and today's episode is going to be for Eli Roth's first film since HOSTEL Part II, 2015's The Green Inferno. So what is the plot of The Green Inferno? Well, the film focuses on a college student in New York named Justine who joins this group of activists led by Alejandro who travel to Peru to protect against the timber industry that is destroying the Amazon rainforest. When the group is returning to civilization, the plane blows up and crashes into the forest. And soon the survivors discover that they are not alone, they are abducted by a tribe of cannibals. So, how was this film made? Well, it was around May 17, 2012 at the Cannes Film Festival, and Eli Roth announced he'd be directing a horror thriller called The Green Inferno, and Worldview Entertainment that would be financing the film. Roth wrote the script with Guillermo Almoido, and production began in autumn 2012 in Peru and Chile. In October 2012, filming was set to begin in November in Peru. Then on October 25th, Roth announced the full cast for the film, and principal photography began in New York City in October 2012. And then shooting in Peru and some other locations in Chile began on November 5th, 2012. Then in a February 23rd interview, Roth wanted the film to look like a Werner Herzog and Terrence Malick film, which he stated in an interview, and was inspired by films like Cannibal Holocaust and Cannibal Ferox. Then, after the film was officially shot and completed, The Green Inferno was originally going to be released on September 2014, but BH Tilt bought it and they bumped it a far away to September 2015. But first, it premiered at the 2013 Toronto National Film Festival. Then it wouldn't be released to the public till 2 years later on September 25th, 2015. And when it got released, it got not good reviews from critics. It's typical for Eli Roth at the time. And on a budget of $5 million, it earned about just $12 million worldwide. And even more, there was going to be a sequel called Beyond the Green Inferno that would be directed by Nicholas Lopez and not Eli Roth, but no updates had happened since then. And guess what? I wouldn't be surprised if it never happens at all. And honestly, maybe it's better it doesn't. There's been sequels to Eli Roth films without Eli Roth's involvement. Look how they've all turned out. HOSTEL Part 3, the Cabin Fever follow-ups. Yeah, you should know making a sequel without Eli Roth's involvement probably wouldn't even work at this rate. Well, now as for my reaction. Well, this came out around the time I was starting to finally get into the gory stuff around that age when this film released, so I could not wait to see this. Once the movie did come out, though, it did not play in my area, and by the time it did release on DVD, I had really forgotten its existence. I think everybody had. But then I watched it during 2020, and it was decent. The last half of the film, the concept made the film decent. But the first 55 minutes are a bit of a pain to get through. But I wouldn't say the tone and humor weren't as obnoxious as other Eli Roth stuff, because Eli Roth's a director I'm split on. Because, he has the right concept for a horror film, but the problem is, he often lets his humor and ego get in the way too much. With a lot of it. He almost has the same problems as Rob Zombie. The problem is his writing. Whenever he does write something, it does not work out. When it comes to him as a filmmaker, this first film, Cabin Fever, it's enjoyable. At best, it's not a masterpiece, but it's enjoyable. Sadly, though, you have that shitty second film that was studio directed. They had a shitty prequel in 2014, and you had a shitty shot-for-shot remake. Then after that, pretty much the one everybody thinks of when they hear the name Eli Roth, Hostel. I'm... When it comes to Hostel, I like the final half where Paxton gets his revenge. What I fucking hate is that stupid first half. That stupid first half is some of the most vulgar, sex-filled stuff I remotely had to witness on a TV screen, and it just felt like I was watching a bunch of porn. And plus, if that's a way to introduce your damn characters, you already had me waiting for this fucking film to end. Right there. I came to watch a horror film. I didn't come to watch a bunch of sex, drugs, and boobs. I want to watch a torture horror film like I was promised in the trailers. Not this. But then, when you do get the final half, at first you don't really like Jay Hernandez's character, but then, after you pretty much do, after, when the movie progresses, and when he does escape and starts getting his revenge on the fuckers, he goes back for the Japanese girl, saves her when she's getting her eyeball burnt out. The makeup on that's pretty well done. I'll admit that. The eyeball scene was pretty effective. And he kills the two girls who set him up. And even the guy that led him to the place, when he sees the guy with those two girls. And then he's able to get on the train after it kind of distracts all the people so he can get on without being noticed. He then finds the Dutch businessman at a station, and he straight up kills him in the bathroom. And that's how that movie ends. Now, alright, here's going to be a controversial side. This opinion always gets me in trouble with so many Eli Roth fans. I prefer Hostel Part 2 over Hostel Part 1. There, I said it. I don't care if people get mad at me for saying that. I think Hostel Part 1 is the better film. No, Part 2 is the better film. People are going to get angry at me for saying that, and we're going to unsubscribe me for liking Part 2, but I don't care. But what I can agree with people on, I hate the first scene where they kill off Paxton. The way they do that is pathetic. If you take out that opening scene, though, I can watch this film as I can watch it as a side story, and just watch it as a standalone movie. Right there, but still set in the same role as the first film, but I could just pretend that, Paxton successfully escaped, just went off the radar. The Eli hunting decided not to go after him, because, they knew no one would believe his story, so they just decided to set up all the security stuff to learn from that one escapee, and just forget about him completely. But yeah. Then Hostel Part 2 disappointed at box office, so Roth took a hiatus from directing. He did have some writing and acting credits, he did act in The Bear Jr. Glorious Bastards, and he had projects like Endangered Species, and his Stephen King adaptation still got put on hold or got taken over by other directors. So The Green Inferno was going to be Roth's big comeback picture following the hiatus. But the problems with distributors meant the film had to go in limbo and sat on a shelf for 2 years before it finally got released to the public. But around 2015, it was finally free. So, did the film serve as a comeback? Not exactly. Sadly, no. This could have been a film that packed this visceral punch. It could have been a film that left many people gasping and disgusted at the horrors on screen. It was meant to be a love letter to Cannibal Holocaust, especially because the director of Cannibal Holocaust did cameo in Hostel Part 2. But it just kind of wasn't. Cannibal Holocaust is still talked about to this day. The Green Inferno today, I don't see people talking about it. Everybody's forgotten its existence. It just came by, and it disappeared into the abyss. And yeah, Eli Roth did go back to directing movies again. But he still kept running into the same problems. After this movie, literally weeks after, he did Knock Knock with Keanu Reeves. And that one is fucking awful! Just one of the most meanest, worst fucking movies I've seen in my life. Yeah, of course, Eli Roth. Why do you think we want to see one of the best actors of all time get the shit tortured out of him by two girls that get off scot-free by ruining Keanu's character's life for no fucking reason? No. Fuck that movie. The movie could go fuck itself. Knock Knock sucks ass. probably, not only that, it's also one of Keanu's worst films, and I hate to say that. That's something I hate saying. Because Keanu's one of my favorite actors of all time. So it sucks I have to say that. Then 3 years after the disastrous Knock Knock, and well, the more mixed this movie I'm talking about, he would go on to do the Death Wish remake with Bruce Willis. And some people do say it's the best work he's done. Then literally months after the Death Wish remake, he would do another film with Jack Black called The House with the Clock on its Walls. And that film made quite a big profit, and that's Roth's highest grossing movie. Then the pandemic happened, and 5 years later, he did come back with a slasher film called Thanksgiving, pretty much the newest Grindhouse adaptation, and sadly, I was hyped for that film, and it just didn't really deliver. No. I was expecting, a really gory slasher film, because it was a Grindhouse adaptation. I was expecting something like Hobo with a Shotgun level of gore. I thought it was going to have that. But it just felt like a Scream wannabe. It just felt too much like it was trying to be Scream with the twists, and it's the problem is they make the best character, which is Patrick Dempsey's character, the killer. I wish he was the protagonist and the TV host guy was the killer. That would have been better. And plus, they ended on a sequel setup, a way too obvious sequel setup. I mean, I didn't hate the film. I decently liked it, but I was kind of a bit disappointed with the results. And plus they did spoil the kills in the Red Band trailer, so that is a bit of a problem. And then, of course, this year we all know there was the shitty Borderlands movie that he was going to direct. And even if he was on set and did direct the whole thing, it probably would have still been shit regardless, because, I mean, the annoying-ass character Claptrap was based off his dog taking a fucking crap. Yeah, that's good writing right there. Very great idea to come up with a character. And hell, even the character takes a fucking crap in so many scenes. So yeah, he did the shitty Borderlands film, but which he wasn't really much of a part of. But back to this film. Before all those, Eli Roth had a nice concept and once again fucks it up. He has a solid cast, has a reasonable budget, gorgeous location, some nice makeup effects, but he let his problems get in the way again, and it screws up again. You took so many years off after doing HOSTEL Part II. I really thought you would have come up with great materials. There's still good points that do lie in the later half. When you do finally get to the cannibals after 55 minutes of these activists, the storyline is pretty refreshing, and the plane crash is handled pretty well. Now, how do we start off the film? Well, college freshman Justine, who's played by, I think at the time, Eli Roth's fiance or girlfriend or wife, at the time anyways, this came out. If they're still dating, I don't know if they're still dating or not, but I wouldn't know. But at the time, this actress was his wife, or his fiance, or whatever. Becomes interested in the social activism group led by Alejandro and his girlfriend, Cara. The group plans the trip to the Amazon rainforest to stop this company from forest cleaning and displaying native tribes by filming them and streaming footage to raise awareness. Justine suggests they bring attention to the issue to her father, who's the United Nations attorney. And her father is played by another Eli Roth collaborator. This guy played one of the killers in the subplot of HOSTEL Part II. The guy that was all in it for, in the killing shit, but then, of course, when it got to the real thing, he immediately got wussied out, and Roger Bart became the sadistic one instead. The operation gets funded by a drug dealer named Carlos, who meets the group in Peru, so they go by boat to the construction site. Daryl Sabara's character and Justine, they stop by to piss, at first, and then you get a bit of a shot of Darryl Sabara's dick when he's trying to take a piss and a tarantula nearly coming towards it, and then screaming how the tarantula almost bit off his dick. Oh my god, yeah, they still have the same Eli Roth bull. Yeah, that's the typical Eli Roth humor. Yeah, it's it's not the humor I like seeing. Yeah, that's always one of his problems with his movies. So they get to the protests, they change themselves to bulldozers and film the land clearing, then a private militia hired by the company arrives, and Carr's about to let Justine be killed by an officer, but the protest goes viral. The group gets arrested, and Carlos brings the police to release them. But so they leave by plane, and the plane's engine explodes on their way back, and they crash into the jungle. Several people are killed, including Carlos. Like, despite getting through like 55 minutes of this pure filler, like you could have sent the film into high gear, and like once it sent the audience screaming in fear, but like it still gets weak, it still gets predictable, and just it wasn't really scary or violent. In a way, like this could have been a scary ass movie. Like the human nature to admire that does terrify us. Like in a way though, like the story, it was simple, and the performances though, like give a nice cast, but they're just less than stellar. But I was impressed with the carnage and the visual effects, like. They were pretty convincing, lifelike, and fairly creative. And Roth does manage to shower the shocking meter. Like, you do still get what you come for. Like, you do get cannibals, dismemberments, flesh eating, but you also get some torture, female genitalia mutilation, and mass zombie-like behavior. Like, there. And so. But some parts, though, like, when this cut could have been scary, like. They make some parts too silly, and no, not good silly, bad silly. Like there are some really cringy moments in here that just ruin the horror factor. Like, and there's some minor CGI on like the gore, and there are some nice setups, like especially like I do like that Roth did cast some actual villagers for the cannibals, like. He didn't just get some high-profile actors for the cannibals. Like, he actually got an actual village to play all the cannibals. So that is creative casting right there. Like, there's a good quality Eli Roth had when making this film. He actually went to a foreign area and got these actual villagers and locals to play them. So there are nice setups right there. Like, yeah, like, it's not like just like documentary though. Like, these are characters that have an agenda. They're like environmental activists. And some characters like Ariel Levy, they do good in being unlikable, providing story arc, and providing kind of a story arc in why Alejandro's not really all that trustable. Like, there's even like one scene, like when it comes to the kills, like one scene, like one of the survivors is extremely graphically hacked apart by the tribe. Once we do meet the cannibals, we see in gory detail each of the limbs being hacked off while he's still alive. So that's definitely the best. I think that's the best kill of the movie, right there. Easily the best kill. So now we get to that part though. The survivors awake from the plane crash. They search for a GPS phone. Carr hears something nearby. When she goes to check, the native tribe emerges. They kill her with an arrow and they tranquilize the others. And they're taken back to their village and they get imprisoned. Then a tribal elder shows up and the headhunter leader. They kill Jonah. They feed his remains to the tribe. Then Alejandro reveals the protest was staged to benefit this rival company run by his father, so he could focus on other activism projects, to the others' dismay. So it turns out, yeah, like, to be fair, Alejandro, you do know this character's kind of a scumbag when you meet him. Right there. Like, this guy doesn't seem all that nice towards Justine. Like, this guy gets a little annoyed with her at times. Like, hell, his girlfriend was willing to let Justine get shot at the protest. So this guy already seems like a piece of shit. This guy wasn't even that good to begin with. So, the tribe, on the other hand, they're testing Justine, Amy, and Samantha for virginity. And when they learn Justine is a virgin, they take her away for a genital mutilation ceremony, and the other two women are returned. Alejandro tells the group to stay put and wait for the next company's clearing crews, but they clearly know that no clearing crews are going to be coming, so they attempt to escape. And then, during one attempted escape, they distract his watchman, and Samantha escapes and hides in a canoe. But Justine is returned, though, does not remember anything from her ordeal. Then, when it comes to like feeding time where you meet more of the tribe, they're feeding the prisoners this strange meat. Amy reluctantly eats though because apparently she's a vegan, and she finds a chunk of skin in her bowl. like burying one of her girlfriend's Samantha's tattoos, and like they were, and realizing they got fed Samantha's remains, like Amy breaks the bowl and uses a shark to commit suicide, and like another thing about the cannibal shit, like the cannibal shit is where a film does pick up, but you also still get some more cringy Eli Roth shit during this part because like one of the oh my god, one of the worst fucking scenes in the film. There's like now when they're on their way to the protest before that, like there's still some total humor. Like for example, when like Lars and Justine they have to take a piss. He tries to piss where Justine is. Like, this is my stream. Go find some other spot. So he goes like where this tarantula is, and he's just running back and joking and like literally screaming how a tarantula almost bit off his dick and balls. Like you get a brief shot of Darl Sabar's dick and balls too. Like we don't want to see that shit. That's one of the problems Eli Roth has with his fucking films. Then of course, like when they're imprisoned by the cannibals, one of them is starting to not feel well. And actually literally feels like crap, and apparently has to take crap, so she takes a diarrhea shit in the prison they're all in. Like, oh my god, why the fuck did you just have to do this unfunny shit, Eli Roth? Would it kill you to just try to be a little mature for your horror films? Would it kill you to do that? You have the potential to make a good horror film, but you keep ruining it with this unfunny humor. Like, it was funny in Cabin Fever, but it doesn't mean you need to apply this humor for every other horror movie you do. So yeah, Amy breaks the bowl and uses the shark to commit suicide. So then Lars sees an opportunity to escape and stuffs marijuana down Amy's throat so that the tribe will get high when they eat her. The plan does succeed and Justine and Daniel escape, but Alejandro is terrified, his coward ass is terrified of being caught and murdered, so he chooses to stay and tranquilizes Lars to keep him company. And then when Lars regains consciousness, the tribe members are all drugged, and it turns out the drugs made them all hungry, so they kill Lars. Right there, because like the tribesmen have the munchies. Yeah. Like, this has the look and feel of an actual cannibal movie from the time of Cannibal Holocaust came out. So, it kind of feels like a modern version of those films, but... And when it comes to the characters, like, the characters make such a bad decision to go out into the Peru rainforest with no plan, no backup, and they come off as really ignorant. Like... right there. So it's kind of hard to really care about either of these guys. And when a film does try to have horror, like you still get the shit scene that does kind of after like a few minutes after you saw the one of the most horrific death scenes in a film, you get the scene of one of them taking a shit. So it almost ruins the horror tone you have there. Like, but I was like, now yeah, I was impressed with the kills right there. Eli Roth doesn't disappoint with the gore like he never does. Like, yeah. Right there. So this film actually does have some violent cannibal stuff. Like, for the first death scene, like, a man has his eyes taken out, tongue cut out, arms, legs cut, and he's decapitated, still a little bit alive. One man who's disoriented stumbles into the path of the spinning plane propeller, gets sliced across the side of the head, and he dies, which is Carlos. You have this cooked meat skin of one of the victims. It gets chewed upon by the cannibal tribe's people. Right there. A man gets thrown into a pig enclosure, gets killed. There's one bleeding woman's leg because it gets hit with a rock. Right there. And one woman gets killed, eaten. And there's a dead tattooed woman's skin with former tattoos. One woman slits her throat open with the bowl. And a woman's corpse is hacked away by a large weapon. But the damage doesn't really get seen though, and yeah, Darl Sabar pretty much gets ripped apart by a bunch of high cannibals. And like, one guy has pretty much ants put on his face, and the ants rip him apart. And you do even get gory stuff in like the plane crash scene. You even get some gory kills in the plane crash as well. Like, right there. Like, So yeah, the thing I liked was the concept, the setting, and the gore. Like, the concept and setting were quite believable. Like, especially at the beginning, like with the student activism and stuff. Like, it's a nice seed to like the main part of the story. And the cast was, I'd say, like, Lorenzo Izzo was the best part of the cast. I'd say Daryl Sabara was not too bad for the comic relief. Right there. So those were the two cast members. Those two do put the effort into their performances. And you know what? Unlike Sherry Moon Zombie, who's pretty much another director's wife that gets put into every film, like, Lorenzo Izzo actually does a better acting job than Sherry Moon Zombie. I can definitely admit that. Right there. Lorenzo Izzo does a better acting job in Eli Roth's films than Sherry Moon does in Rob Zombie's films. Right there. So that's kind of ironic. So, now anyway, after the Justine and Daniel escape, we get on with the finale. So Justine and Daniel, they reach a crash site, and they find a phone. They get recaptured, though. They get returned to the village. Then the tribe paints, and they dress Justine in tribal attire, and an elder ties Daniel to a stake, and that's where you get the ant scene. But then news of the forest clearing arrival pretty much sends the tribe to a frenzy, and they leave. And the warriors leave to confront them. So, this one child that Justine gave her necklace to, he pretty much actually helps Justine escape. Because, like, she befriended this boy earlier. Daniel decides that he's had enough suffering, so he decides to just let Justine kill him. She refuses, but the child does, so the child does it. Alejandro tries to cowardly beg Justine for help, but after what a treacherous asshole he's been, Justine was pretty much like, fuck that, I'm out of here. Like, yeah, don't help his ass. Don't help him. Fuck this guy. This guy got you in this mess in the first place, so fuck him. And clearly did not care about any of his crew being killed. And was willing to keep them there with him just to save, thinking that would save his ass. So she abandons him and encounters this black jaguar cat that, for some weird reason, doesn't really attack her, and like the tribesmen even close in on her, but they decide to just not sedate her at all. So neither side really, they see her in this paint, and they're all like, "Hey, you know what?" The jaguar cat's like, you know what? You can pass by me. I don't care. And the two tribesmen going after her like, forget. She's not worth it. Let's get back to the village. What? Don't you think she's gonna rat you guys out when she sees those clearing people, the militia? So the militia are in a battle against the tribe, and the headhunter and most of the tribe's warriors are killed. So she convinces the militia leader that she's an American, even though the militia threatened to kill her. They use this phone to pretend to film the fight, so the battle would end peacefully, and so they fly her to safety. And Alejandro still tries to scream for their attention, but he gets knocked out by a dart, and I guess for now it's presumed he gets killed. So then in New York City, she then lies to her dad and the government workers, saying she was a sole survivor, the natives were friendly, and their group got help, and they helped her group, but then they all got slaughtered by the militia. So the militia just saved your ass, and you still rat them out? That's kind of selfish. And no, like, why would you lie about these natives? These natives almost raped you. These natives tried to eat you. They ate your crew. They pretty much almost raped you. Why would you try to lie about them? Yeah, there was one sympathetic boy, like you could have said that the boy saved your life, but you had to try to defend these villagers that almost killed you? Why would you do that? No, I would have been fucking honest. If I was her, I would have been fucking honest. And told all of them what really happened. Right there. And that Alejandro was actually a piece of shit that only cared about fame and ego. It almost caused this mess for all of us in the first place. But then sometime later, then Justine is pretty much dreaming of Alejandro, who then pretty much like Then she just grows vampire teeth and bites him, so that seems like a bit of a weird shot, but it's a dream though. Then she sees this group of activists that are emblazoned with Alejandro's face. That's where the movie ends, but then we get a credit scene where Alejandro's sister apparently contacts Justine that she found a satellite photo that shows Alejandro alive in the jungle wearing black tribal paint. So that's how the Green Inferno ends. I guess that was meant to be the plot of the sequel. Alejandro just trying to get back home, but this makes no sense. Because we see a dart hit him, and it's presumed he gets killed by the remaining cannibals. Or hell, like we saw them all get slaughtered by the Americans, so why would there even be a planned sequel in the first place? And a sequel will never happen because, like, it's not been confirmed. They still can't figure out a release date for it, and it's been like nearly 10 years now since this film released, so... And plus, Roth now has, like, Thanksgiving 2 to make. He's more focused on doing Thanksgiving movies now, because, like, now he's got a new franchise, so... The Green Inferno didn't even make any impact, so nobody even talks about it anymore. They all forgot about it. It just disappeared to abyss, never to be heard of again. Just a thing released and then quickly forgotten about when it left theaters. It's like Roth just wanted another franchise, just trying to be Hostel again. Because he tried to make Hostel a new Saw cash grab, and Hostel Part 2 didn't do well at the box office, or with critics, or even with fans of the first film. Like, and Justine making those lies is going to come back to bite her once they find out of Alejandro's survival, and now he's a member of the tribe for his betrayal, so Justine's career and life, they're all fucked with those stupid lies in the end. Yeah, because she pretty much lies saying the cannibals were friendly and they took care of her, despite the fact that they almost raped her ass and tried to eat her. And none of the cannibals get much of a comeuppance either. Like, they get shot by militia, but there's not much else comeuppance for them. And the only comeuppance Alejandro gets is he gets shot with a dart, but is praised by all the cannibals, apparently, despite the fact that they probably were going to kill him afterwards, so this wouldn't make sense. So yeah, we're on to the bad qualities now. Here are the bad qualities I have of the movie. Like, the abundance of characters, like, there, like... It seemed like that's a pretty big group for a bunch of activists, so it's not surprising most of them get killed off in the plane crash, and there's an abundance of cliches, like one where a protagonist falls to a river, and you know what's going to happen next. It's a lazy cliche, and like one of the most obvious tropes ever, like... And the movie just fails to really shock or wow much people, like... You wish you could have saw the Peruvian tribe get more of a comeuppance than Alejandro too, but they don't. Like, after all, like, if these students were there to save them in the first place, so this is how they return the favor. The students that save them they all get killed. They all get killed by the very tribe they were trying to save, and that they saved from being bulldozed. Makes no sense. Why they'd kill the people that were there to save them. But in the face of, like, torture and gory violence, like, you think characters would try to stand up for themselves, like Lorenzo would try to stand up for herself? No, fight back, or at least try to come up with a creative way to escape, and just run to stupid directions idiotically? Nope. And there's, like, no character build up, so when the bloodshed happens, yeah, that's the best part of the film, but you also feel nothing for the characters. Like, gore does not disappoint, though, but it's hard to really care about any of these activists, guys, because either they're just unlikable, because that's typical for Eli Roth films, a lot of characters need to be assholes, or they're just plain idiots. Because that's another Eli Roth thing, too. Either his characters always need to come off as being unlikable, or just plain idiots. You have Jay Hernandez's character, also part 1, but he gets killed off in the next film anyway, so that doesn't matter. Like, and like when it comes to the kill, like just one of them only made me flinch, and that was like the first kill with the cannibals. Other than that, like, there's just not much, the kills don't really get much out of me. And plus, not to mention, they do ruin it with the unfunny toilet humor that Roth puts in this film. and just some unfunny comedy in this film because apparently he thinks all his horror films need to have a cabin fever tone. Like Hostel Part 1, yeah, that could have been a serious horror film, but you ruin it with the first half with the boobs and the sex. Hostel Part 2 was like the closest horror film that came close to actually ditching that tone was Hostel Part 2. That's one of the things I like about Hostel Part 2, because that's the first time Roth actually tries to do a bit serious shit and actually tries to drop humor shit. To like have less humor for once. The first time he actually tried to make a serious horror film. It was fine for Cabin Fever, because that's your first film, and that's meant to be kind of a parody of the zombie horror films. So, but you don't need to do that tone for every other horror film you do. Like, I don't like unfunny humor. I don't laugh at the idea of a girl taking a shit in her prison in front of all the prisoners and it's stinking up the prison cell. Like, no. Or Darl Sabarov taking a piss and a tarantula almost biting his dick. Like, no. Like, it feels like you're watching a Nickelodeon cartoon. And like another thing, the shitsy, you even hear fart sounds. Like, it feels like you're just watching a Nickelodeon Nickelodeon cartoon. Or watching a bad SpongeBob episode. The newer ones. Yeah. Why do you think I have problems with Eli Roth as a director? Because he has a good idea for horror films, but he keeps letting his writing and and the unfunny humor he thinks is funny go into the movie. So all in all, The Green Inferno is a mixed bag. This had the potential to be a masterpiece Roth finally had under his belt. But then the bad stuff he's always known for just kind of drags it down. So in the end, The Green Inferno, it's a stream online because it has the good blood, gore, and excessive violence that you're used to seeing Eli Roth, though, but it also has to deal with some of the unfunny humor that does kind of clog it, and some of the problems he still has in his scripts. Anyways, guys, that's it for my review of The Green Inferno. If you want to know how I'm going to rank The Green Inferno, here's how I'm going to rank this movie. So overall, if you are a gore hound and want to see some good cannibal horror, then I would probably just stream The Green Inferno online just to watch the gory death scenes because you'll be satisfied with what you see, but you won't get a great talk-worthy flick with this one. And if you're wondering how I'm going to rate The Green Inferno, I'm going to give The Green Inferno a 6 out of 10. Alright, there we go, guys. Sorry this review was a little long, but yeah, I reviewed The Green Inferno now. There we go, I reviewed, that's like 5 Eli Roth films I've already reviewed. At some point, I guess I'm probably gonna have to destroy the shit out of Knock Knock. Oh no. Because that's not gonna be fun, because I despise that fucking film. So that's one of the worst films ever to exist. Knock Knock did have an alternate ending where Keanu's going to kill the girls, and that should have been the ending of the movie. Roth should have just kept that. But apparently Roth thought Keanu losing and these asshole girls that wrecked his life win in the end would have been a better ending, apparently. Nah, should have kept that as, dude, you should have kept that alternate ending, and maybe I wouldn't be so hard on the film. But Death Wish, I'm interested in checking out. House of the Clock on its Walls, wouldn't know. I've already checked out Thanksgiving. I've sadly already checked out Borderlands. But yeah, now tell me what you thought about The Green Inferno in the comments down below. And until then, guys, that will be it for this review. Thank you all for watching. If you like this, want to see more, don't forget to like, subscribe to Don G. Corleone.